Hey guys, welcome back. We got another instance of graded Pokemon cards with what is, in my opinion, a fake stamp. This is not the first time, this is not the last time, I'm sure, that we see this kind of thing. You guys need to be on the lookout. You guys, this is one of the biggest reasons. This is a prime example of why I tell you guys, even if you're buying graded cards, do not trust the grader. Do not trust the grade. Do not trust the authenticity. Do that yourself. Know that yourself, especially if you're spending a ton of money. So we got cards that are in the thousands of dollars, several thousands of dollars, even in the lesser condition copies. First edition base is an expensive little treat, if you will. So what we have here is a PSA 7 Charizard first edition base, and we got some issues with it right away. To the trained eye, if you give it a little lookerino, you can see down here that the first edition stamp is not quite in the correct location. And we'll get into a detail on that in just a second. But be careful, guys. No more than the grader. Make sure you're authenticating the stuff yourself. Make sure, even if it's in a graded case, make sure if you come across something like this, if you purchase it and you realize later on you're watching this video and like, oh shit, I got something bad. Make sure you don't crack it out of the case. Hopefully PSA can remedy the situation with you. So speaking of PSA, we have the cert verification here, which is still very active. They have been made aware of the situation so that they can take a look into it. Thank you very much to Valcon from the Discord. Join the Discord if you're not part of the Discord, for sending this and getting my eyeballs on it, because this is something concerning. This is something we've seen in the past. Again, the Shadowless card is basically the same thing as a first edition base. So I know everyone likes to call it first edition base shadowless. The shadowless part is redundant. First edition base is always shadowless. But what we have here is an easy method, essentially. You take a shadowless card, you put a fake stamp on it, profit. The problem is, you're going to get caught doing that. That is 100% fraud. Now, we'll take a look here. And so, to the trained eye, in the previous image, if you know what you're looking at, if you've seen a lot of first edition base, if you've watched the channel long enough, this is an ongoing issue. It's a easy scam, easy barrier to entry scam, and we'll take a look at how that is here later on in the video. But what we're seeing here is you're never gonna quite get it in the right spot. The letters are a little wonky. We got the E here. It's kind of got a little limp weenie in the middle. So little details within that. Again, this would be much easier to determine in person to be 100% certain. This is all my opinion. I do think that all of this needs to be looked into, and I don't know exactly whether or not the individual that has possession of 3 of these apparently is the one doing it, or if he received them from someone, but there is some suspicious activity, so I'm going to publish all of that, and we'll have to work out those details in the future. More importantly now is that everyone is on the lookout, that you're not purchasing this type of thing, especially if you purchase it raw. If it goes through, even if it goes through eBay authentication, which I'm not sure if it would, because if it's coming from Italy, I don't know why is it? There seems to be like a disproportional amount of scammers from Italy. Not everyone from Italy is bad. Just like whatnot, but Italy seems to be the whatnot of planet Earth. I don't know what it is, why it is, but the scams, for how large Italy is, there seems to be a lot of scams coming out of there. Now, looking bad. The text looks bad. The fact that the one has like a little janky wanky going on here, that looks bad. But more importantly is if you line it up with the border on the artwork, and if you line it up with the border on the information box there that's on the below the artwork box, this should be going along the bottom of the one, near the bottom of the one, and this vertical line here should be going through the T. Now it is not even close. It is abrasively, eye-pinchingly wrong, in my opinion. Again, we'll see. Maybe there's some kind of rare situation that we got going on here, where this is an exception to the rule. But from what I've seen, it's always dead on, spot on, in the right spot. Sometimes you get weird smudging. Sometimes you get like an incomplete stamp, or you get gray stamps or stuff like that. What we're looking at here is in my opinion, fake first edition stamp, and then there's a thick and thin stamp. So there's 2 different versions of the stamp. What we're looking at today is the thick version, which references how thick or thin the one is. So there's 2 different versions. You got thin stamp. This is a thick stamp, which is the fake stamp that we're taking a look at today, is also mimicking a fake. So you see here, our E is not a limpy wimpy. We got everything else is pretty clean. Sometimes there's more ink, sometimes there's less ink, so you get more or less smudge. Sometimes it's not dried completely. It's pretty rare, but you can get some smudging going on there. They're added after the fact, so they're always spot on, dead on, exactly where it is. Now, this is not the case for other sets. You got to compare set to set. So if you're looking at something from like Neo Genesis or something like that, you need to compare the location of the stamp with that. But for first edition base, this is what it should look like here. We're on a tilt, but you can see here that and my lines are not great, but we should be coming through the T, and we should be coming towards in around the bottom of the 1 on our border here, our little cross section that we're doing. Pretty simple. It's not simple to replicate, but pretty simple in terms of authenticity, even from an image. It should be even easier for grading companies. Under magnification, under a certain light, they should be able to tell whether or not this is fake. Even if they got it dead on, spot on, a simple microscope, a simple loop of some sort, very inexpensive microscope would pick up on the texture and the way that this ink is layered down, the type of ink, the way that it reflects, everything like that should be very easy to determine whether it's real or not. We had issues before, and it looks like we continue to have issues here, where this being a little bit of a newer cert number, it seems like we haven't implemented enough of I guess a training regimen for these PSA graders to determine whether or not they got a real stamp here. So that's what we're dealing with. This is pretty recent. I assume that this was graded by the individual that we're going to take a look at today, but it is not good. So we got the real stamp, and this is a real card, real stamp. This is just the one I pulled it from, not related whatsoever, but it is a recent stamp. It sucks that I should have took more time. I got one that was leveled off, but you guys get the point. Now we're looking at todestore. So todestore is the owner, the proud owner. I don't know if he's proud. He's the owner of 3 of these Charizards with some wonky donkey stamps. So finding one of these in the wild where somehow the stamp went off into left field, it is not in the right location. It's got some weird things that don't happen on a stamp, and he somehow has 3 of them. So the first was the one that we took a look at there, and then we have this one on the store that he is supposedly sending to PSA as well. His verdict or his defense is the fact that PSA knows better. So he did not want to listen to Valcon. He did not want to listen to somebody else that made some posts on Instagram, and he had no interest in speaking to me. I just asked him I wanted to say, hey, can I have more information on the Charizards that you have? They're questionable. And he basically told me to go shove one. Now, he didn't block me like he did other people, but it is a little bit concerning that he does not want to discuss it. He does not want anything to do with it when there's something clearly wrong with his cards. So this is the individual that I spoke to. I have to believe at this time that it is definitely a suspect in terms of who is adding these stamps to the cards themselves, based on the fact that he does not want to speak about them. If it turns out otherwise, I will follow through with that. Again, do not harass anyone. Do not contact anyone that's featured in the videos here. We're going to let PSA do what they got to do, deactivate what they got to deactivate, and if needed, then law enforcement can become involved with the, well, I mean, it's going to be in PSA's best interest if they find out that this individual is sending them cards that have been altered or, I guess, modified to be something that they're not, then PSA is going to be able to shut them down, either through legal means and or if it's a big enough scam, which it doesn't look like it is at this point in time. I mean, they're handling a lot of other expensive stuff, so hopefully it was just them. Hopefully it was just them buying a few Charizards from someone that were not correct, and that's it. That's all. So he's been shown in the DMs. We'll take a look at those. What's wrong with the card itself? What's wrong with the stamp itself, rather? And he just does not want to believe it. He does not want to talk about it. He does not want to resolve anything. So unfortunately, it'll come to, I guess, law enforcement and or PSA taking legal action if he's trying to defraud them. Now, we have todestore.it. So he's got a store. He's got an online store. This is, again, be careful, guys, where you're buying it from. I know people like to get the deal of the deal from wherever they're dealing. It's weird to have an online store, but then only have like 215 feedback. on your eBay. That's a little bit odd to me. And again, we got some high ticket items. If there's some hanky-panky going on with the stamps, maybe there's some hanky-panky going on elsewhere. I'm not sure. Be careful out there, guys. You got to be very careful, regardless of what you're looking at, regardless of what you're buying. If there's value there, there is incentive for people to wrong you. And then here's the raw copy that he has up on his eBay. And we got the same issue here. So this one's not graded, but I guess we got different but same issue here, where we got the T is not really printed. The E is at least straight this time. But again, we're not even close to the right spot. The T is not getting intersected. The other thing too, to compare is I guess the angle on the addition letters. The T should be on a slight angle. If that's not on, if it's straight up and down, dead red flag. And again, you got to have the card straight up and down to be able to tell that. But I've seen a lot of fake stamps where they put the T straight up. It should not be straight. And again, the position on it, the size of it, and everything else, pretty easy to determine from images. But should be even easier for PSA to be doing that stuff. There's no excuse when you have something that's worth $5,000+ for PSA to not get a little extra check on, get a little extra training on that stuff, especially where it's something that they've been kind of duped on in recent times. So thank you guys for using the link tree. It allows me to make videos like this. It allows me to make videos about scammers who are going to false flag the videos. Much appreciated. If you can click on these before you buy the things you're going to buy anyway, much appreciated. I would much rather you support the channel that way. No charge to yourself, no additional cost to yourself, a little bit of extra time rather than sending me money. Best way to help me out. And then even better, if you want to save some money while you're buying the stuff that I would recommend, go ahead and do it. Supports the channel as well. I again, thank you for everyone that has been using it. You guys are an absolute awesome sauceums. Thank you. Card Market, if you're in Europe, make sure you're there. Make sure you're shopping there, or get a friend. Now, we've seen it before. We got some very cheap, very accessible methods for people who are adding these first edition stamps. So yes, you need to be checking everything, whether it's an inexpensive card, whether it's an expensive card. We got these little stamperinos that the people are gonna capitalize on fraud, both by selling fraud devices that allow you to commit fraud, and then same with the fake wrap, same with all of that stuff. You need to be highly trained. You need to be highly intelligent about where you're buying stuff from, who you're buying stuff from. And even if you're getting it from somewhere reputable, maybe it came from somewhere less reputable before that. So be careful. There are stamps out there. Again, they're not going to be perfect. You're going to be able to, lucky for us, when these first edition stamps were added to the cards themselves, they were done so in such a near perfect way that any of this imitation stuff, anyone trying to home job this, is gonna give themselves away. And again, it's fraud. If you're stamping stuff and you're selling stuff, be prepared. There is a very good chance you are going to get the long dick of the law. Hopefully. Someone that we're going to be talking about in a minute here, Argent Dylan, experiences that dick to the fullest extent. So if you guys haven't seen it, there's an Argent Dylan series on the YouTube. If you type in Argent Dylan from Rattle playlist, or I'll put it down below, or maybe I'll put it on the end screen so you guys can take a look if you want to watch through. Ridiculous. This guy was out on good behavior, essentially. He was in trouble on the federal level because he tried to trick somebody into sending him $200,000 because he once worked with Kanye, but no longer worked with Kanye, but was pretending to still work with Kanye. And the bank essentially intercepted that. They wouldn't release the money. He got dicked by the law. He was supposed to be out on good behavior, and instead of being on good behavior, he was resealing booster boxes and posting them on E4. Of all the places, if you're going to be a scammer, you do not want to be posting fake cards, fake resealed stuff for opinions on E4. You are going to get caught. The guys on there know what they're looking at. They're going to dismantle it. He might have been just trying to test it to see if people would fall for it, that sort of thing. And then we got into, eventually, he dropped the whole resealed booster box stuff, and he started doing fake first edition stamps. So he was using a thermal printer of some sort, the type that you can like add material to an item, not necessarily thermal printer like a label printer or anything like that, but he was using a thermal printer of some sort to add these stamps. He had like an art kind of business that apparently was not making money, so he had to start scamming people. I guess that was his go-to. Ridiculous, insane. I don't know what's going to happen, but I hope that he is shut down. I hope that this comes to bite him. But you got to be careful. There are con men. There are fraudsters that are about they're going to try to steal your money because they can't make an honest living with their whatever they're doing, and they want the money. They need the money, and they'll do anything to get it. So we have some DMs here. I'm not going to go read through them, but you guys get the idea. I just want to show you guys that todestore here is not cooperating, essentially not willing to hear out anyone that's showing him dead set evidence of the fact that he has fake cards, that he's in possession of fake cards, and that he is unwilling to I guess negotiate and or hear anyone out. So we got Valcon here showing them, hey, this is what it should look like. This is what yours look like. They're wrong, regardless of whether it's graded or not. That is not a free pass, especially if you're the person that put these stamps on there. It's not acceptable. These need to be taken off the market. I don't know if these stamps can actually be removed without destroying the card, which would be really sad if the card ends up being destroyed in some way, because I think the thermal ones could be like, you could basically scrape them off with your finger. There was like an additional material that was added. It doesn't look like he used that, so I don't know if these are one of the little stamp jobs. But it'll be interesting to find out whether or not what goes on here, and whether or not they decide. Now, PSA, there was nothing next to that one card that we have the cert number on with the bad stamp, so it looks like that was a single card submission. Now, were the other ones single card submissions as well? I mean, if somebody was trying to grade these and knew that they were counterfeit or knew that they were altered to have a first edition stamp on them, they probably don't want to send multiple in at a time, because then if one gets caught, they're going to look at the other cards in the order. But PSA is going to be able to have the ability to go back and look at all of these submissions that were done. If it was todestore that submit these, which it sounds like it was based on the information given, based on the DMs that were given there. And then he ended up blocking Valcon, who was just trying to help. And again, it's if it wasn't him, if he bought them from someone else, if someone else graded them especially, then there is a way for him to get his money back from PSA for that, assist in providing information on who sold them to him. Even if he bought them raw, like, they're going to be deactivated regardless at this point in time. I can be almost certain. Maybe best case scenario, they get sent in for a review, that sort of thing. I know PSA does like to request that at certain points in time, but that's what we're looking at. Be careful out there. And if there are updates on this or anything else, if you guys find questionable items, join the Discord, post it in the general chat, and we'll take a look at it. At the very least, even if it's something that's authentic, have people come in quite often. Don't send me DMs with like, hey, is this booster box real? Hey, is this stamp real? Or anything like that. It's much better if you post it in the general chat for the Discord. That way everyone can kind of learn. If I'm not necessarily there at the moment, maybe somebody else can take a look at it and say that they don't see anything wrong with it. That's not like something that you have to pay for or anything else, but I do want you to learn on your own. I am going to encourage you, when I show you whether it's real or not, to learn how to do that on your own. I think it's an important tool. I think it's something that you should take the time. If you're spending a ton of money on Pokemon cards, if you plan on being in Pokemon cards for any amount of time, any extended amount of time, it should be one of the first things that you're taking a look at, one of the first things that you're learning, especially in the area of cards that you're purchasing yourself. Be careful out there. Thanks for tuning in. Look out for each other. Love you guys. See you next time. Bye.